And leading people like that is a wonderful and rewarding experience.
Sure.
So when I sometimes wax nostalgic, those are the memories I remember.
Right.
Are those fine Americans, you know, the mothers, the fathers, the sons, the daughters, brothers, sisters, our aunts, our cousins.
Making a huge sacrifice.
That's it.
Serving their country so bravely.
They did. It was, as we said earlier, an honor and a privilege for me to be in a position with those folks. Like that. Well, on that happy note, retirement did come along.
Wonderful.
And we'd already been in town for a little while at that point. And immediately, having arrived in town, we became active in our local parish.
Great.
And then soon thereafter, actually became a member of our parish pastoral council. Various other organizations, too, in town. American Legion, I joined the Rotary. Service organizations, an opportunity to give back to the town.
Sure.
We live privileged, and we've seen that where we lived around the world also.
Sure.
As Americans, we have a lot, but I think that means we have a lot to offer also. And in offering back to the community, becoming involved, no matter where we were in the local community, was important to us.
Right.
And because we did live for such short periods of time in each location, if we waited for that right moment to jump in, you'd be going to the next location before that right moment.
Sure.
So really the right moment was the day you show up.
Fantastic.
And that's been how I lived 32 years in the Air Force.
Right.
So that was no different when we moved here.
No waiting. You needed to jump right in.
It was. Were there opportunities to serve the community? I felt yes. Did I have the talents to be able to serve the community? I felt yes.
Sure.
And that's what we did. I had mentioned the parish council before.
Right.
Mentioned a couple other service organizations. And then an opportunity came along with the school committee. Had elections coming along and our annual town elections. And I was looking around and said, do I have something to offer there? And I felt I did.
Sure.
Certainly education's always been very important to me. I worked on education at night for my college, both bachelor's and master's degrees. And I was in charge of many training programs. Some training programs going back to my Air Force days. I was a course commander for a Turkish Air Force class. And we were teaching them to fly F-16s. In fact, I had the opportunity to deliver their first F-16 from the United States to Turkey.
Oh, my goodness.
Flew a two-seat version of our F-16 and actually had a Turkish officer in the back seat and took him home. So it was quite a homecoming for him climbing out of the airplane on his native soil.
Yes.
And then, as the world is full of irony, the following year I was teaching Greeks. And certainly our Greek and Turkish allies have some differences over the Aegean Sea. So it was a juxtaposition of their thoughts on what the world was about. So that was another one of those compare and contrasts.
Yes, interesting. And you got that training background that helped you get more, when you got more involved in the educational system here in Littleton.
That's true. My experience as an instructor pilot, and I've also been an adjunct faculty teacher for Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. So I have instructed at the collegiate level in addition. But education is not only our future, it's our present.
Sure.
The process of education is as important, I think, as the end result of that education, if there ever can really be an end result.
Sure.
Because it's an ongoing process for us always. How do we make that process enjoyable and rewarding and productive? Always been of important concerns to me. So when I saw that there was an opportunity to serve on a school committee, I said, let me run for that.
Sure.
Okay.
That was your first entry into the political scene, as it were?
The political scene as in a public manner, yes. But I've always been interested in politics. In fact, we go back and look at my yearbook from high school, and you could see where some of my buddies wrote, "Good luck, town councilor." Because actually, as an 18-year-old, I was interested in running for town council in the town of Smithfield. But that slight different turn in life, joining the Air Force instead, sort of put that kind of thought on hold. But as I said, that compare and contrast in the different cultures, societies, whatever, there was also an opportunity to study different governments. Certainly many of the countries were in a parliamentary system, unlike representative democracy that we have here with our three powers of government. Seeing those differences, and then from country to country, how parliaments would act differently, and then what did those countries think as far as what was their important social policies, their foreign policy. So living it with them, and then certainly dealing with their soldiers, their sailors, their Marines, their military, and even sometimes with the State Department. And that was always interesting because the State Department and Department of Defense, both serving the needs of America, with a slightly different perspective, though, on how do we get to the end game. So being able to work with those folks, being able to work with non-governmental organizations in some spots in the world. Iraq, for example. The first time, when I say the first time, back 91, 92, I'd go in the ground. I was on the ground in Iraq often, in addition to flying, having flown the missions overhead. We'd go in and we negotiated with the Iraqis, we negotiated with the Kurds. Jabal Talabani, who is now the president of Iraq, I've been to his house.
Oh, my goodness.
It was very interesting up in the mountains of northern Iraq. Barzani, who was his rival of sorts, is now leads the northern Kurdish region. So two important leaders in a very fractious part of the world for us right now. Had the opportunity to meet them, be at their homes, dine with them.
Fascinating. Now, did your awareness and your exploration of other governments around the world even impress upon you more strongly what we've got here in America and how great our system works here and changes that could be beneficial?
There's never been a day in my life that I haven't looked at America, our system, our people, and said, this is the best. But what you just asked, the answer to that is every day reinforced, this is the best.
Yes.
We have a system. And it's a system that really began here, Massachusetts. Think about it.
That's right. That's right, in the early days.
Our founding fathers, the revolutionaries, those people came forth with a different idea, a spirit of fire and a desire to defeat tyranny and to have self-determination. And that continues through today. And I live that, I breathe it. It is my most innermost desire is that we continue to fight tyranny, because tyranny will take over. Good people do have to do good things. And if we don't step forward, and back to your earlier question as to why did I come forward? Because I like to think I have something to offer for sure. And it's an obligation in my mind that if you can offer and you do have something to offer, you must come forward and offer it. And that's part of what drives me. So that which drove me to the school committee, I saw a need. We have great people in this town, wonderful people who embraced us very early on, from just about the first time we stepped foot into the town. They took us under their wing, they guided us, they showed us around. I mean, I could name people after people, take you and line them up on how well we've been treated by these folks. And it continues through today. So that spirit of community and an opportunity to work with these people, cooperate with them, contribute with them, has been tremendously fulfilling for me. So the school committee has just been a wonderful opportunity. And my position on the school committee offered me another opportunity to be on our building committee here in town. And I joined the building committee at the tail end as we were finishing up a middle school, but still so fulfilling to see the children, the teachers, the staff, everybody in a new facility, state-of-the-art facility. So again, small part from myself here, because many people before me did the real heavy work of working through the contracts, getting it going, bringing the contractor online.
And this is a new facility?
A new middle school.
A new middle school right here in town. Wonderful.
And shortly after, only about 5.5 years or so after the high school, a brand new high school was also built in town. So we see that people of this town support education.
For sure.
So that was just wonderful.
Oh, that's great. Well, you know, and here you are now running for state rep, and you had just mentioned the spirit, the fire, and desire. Is that what you're filled with now as you approach your candidacy? What is it that made you decide now is the time to run for state rep?
Certainly, I think I needed a little experience. There's no doubt about that. There was no way that I should just immediately say, let's run for state rep. I certainly should know something about our system here, our state, our district, our towns. And the timing is such that I looked around and said, things are broken. Things are really broken in our state. And more than just me making that comment, let me just offer, a couple of facts. And then, you can make your own determination. The folks watching on camera can make their own determination.